Hey guys, it's been a while, but we've been doing more photo than video lately, so I've been busy with that. But here I am, out in the woods today. I got some new hiking boots. I want to take them out, try them out. Before Bill and I go on one of our epic hiking photo adventure trips next week. So I want to make sure these are nice and comfy. So figure while I'm walking around I can tell you about a lens that I used recently. The Canon RF 28-70 f2 zoom lens. Now, if you know me, you know that I almost exclusively shoot with prime lenses. There's a lot of reasons why. I'll put some videos at the end here that you can check out. My reasons behind it. But this lens in particular caught my eye because it's a maximum aperture of f2, where most lenses of this kind in the mid zoom range, the maximum aperture you're going to get on those is f2.8. Now I'm getting a maximum aperture on my prime lenses of usually 1.4. So I'm used to having that extra stop of light. But I said, you know what, for convenience and to be able to try out what might be a really good zoom lens, let me try this out. Cost-wise, it's prohibitively expensive. It's in the neighborhood of $3,000+. So as an experiment, I didn't really want to buy one just for that. I didn't think I was going to use it enough, so I rented one. It's the first time I've ever rented a lens. And I'm not endorsing anything here. I'm sure there's a lot of these lens rental companies that are very similar, but I used lensrentals.com, and it was fantastic. It was very easy to find the lens, find the time period I wanted to use it for. Ordering was simple. They send you a prepaid shipping label to ship it back. I think it was $195 for like an 8-day rental. So I would definitely recommend, if you're ever really looking for a lens, you want to just try it out, something maybe you only think you need once in a while, use a lens rental service. For $200 a week, I can rent that lens 15 times, and it'll cost me the same to buy it once. So if you're ever looking to maybe rent a lens, I definitely recommend that. But back to this lens in particular. It's expensive, like I just said. It's big, it's heavy. If you've gotten this far into thinking about it, wondering if it's the right lens for you, those things might not matter as much. If you're a wedding photographer, if you're somebody who's going to be making money using this lens, the cost isn't necessarily that big a deal. The size and weight is what it is. Either you're going to use it or you're not. So for me in particular, it comes down to the image quality, the usability, and how it performs and how I'm using it compared to my prime lenses. Now I don't even have a 24-70 2.8 lens in the Canon RF mount. I had one for the EF for my 5D series that I was using, and I used it sometimes. I never loved it. I didn't even bother getting it for the new R mount. But this 28-70, like I said, is a maximum aperture f2. So I was curious. So I got the lens, it came, it's a work of art. It really is a beautiful lens. It's, like I said, big and heavy, but it feels really nice on the camera. You look through it, the images are wonderful. I'm gonna share a bunch of images here that I took. You can't get better image quality than this. I mean, it's a fantastic lens. And if this fits into your shooting style, what you're getting paid to do, what you want to do casually, you will not be sorry for having this lens. It's an absolutely beautiful lens. But the question for me is, how does this lens hold up against the prime lenses that I usually use? So now in this range, I have a 24 1.4, I have the 50 1.2, and a 135 f2. So basically that's what I'm getting in that range. Now that already outperforms the zoom lens. The zoom lens I'm going from 28-70, and I'm a constant f2. Without those three primes, I'm going from 24 1.4 up to 135 f2. A lot more range, but you're carrying two extra lenses around. So, I mean, is it worth it? That's really the question. And for me, here's what I was finding. And this always happens to me shooting zoom lenses, maybe because I don't use them enough, is I'm always shooting at the extremes. I'm shooting at 28, I'm shooting at 70. Every once in a while I'm in the middle, but if I look back at the images I took from this past trip, most of them are at the extreme wide angle or extreme telephoto edge of the zoom range. And what that tells me when I see that is when I'm shooting at 28, there's probably a lot of times in there where I wish I would have had 24, something a little bit wider. when I'm shooting at 70, maybe I really did need something further than 70, like an 85 or a 135. So right off the bat, I know that all my shots that are at 28 millimeters, I probably wanted to go wider. I would have gone wider in a situation if I had something wider available to me. So the limited range issue of the zoom, even though it's got a great range. It's a zoom lens, it's very convenient. It's limited compared to the prime lenses. The other issue then is the maximum aperture. There is a difference, a pretty big difference between f1.4 and f2. Now for what you're doing, it might not be noticeable, you might not care. For me, I always love the way the wide open apertures work, the way they look on these prime lenses. So to me, it really makes a difference. I'm gonna put some images up here. I'm gonna share some images at 24 millimeters, the difference between a 1.4 and a 2.0 aperture. I'll do it at 50 also so you can see what those look like. But to me, that makes a difference. And that's one of the things I'm always saying about, having your photography stand out, to the people around you, is that if everybody's out there shooting 24 to 70 f2.8 lenses, well, that's, so many images that you see are going to be taken in that range at that aperture. So if you're shooting wider than that, or you're shooting longer than that, and you're shooting a wider maximum aperture than that, right off the bat, your images are going to look different. And then it also makes a difference in how you compose and how you shoot. The limiting aspects to me of having prime lenses. So sometimes I'll just go out, I don't want to carry a bunch of lenses with me. Sometimes I'll go out with just one lens or just two lenses. And now that's just what I'm focused on for the day, as I'm shooting at 24 and 135, and I'm creating images based on what I see, what I'm presented with. I'm creating images based on just those focal lengths. And I find that, again, this is just for me, I find that when I'm using a zoom lens, I'm less creative. I'm more relying on the zoom than I am on moving my feet back and forth, maybe crouching down, maybe getting up high, getting a different angle, because I need to get a different angle in order to try to create the image that I'm working with. With a zoom, the creativity for me is just not there as much. So I gotta say, based on this, a 28 to 70 f2 zoom is a really unique lens. Like I said, it's absolutely beautiful. The images are second to none. But if that lens doesn't work for me, if that zoom lens doesn't get me into zooms, I honestly don't think that any zoom lens is gonna get me into zooms. I think I'm giving up on zoom lenses. I'm happy with the primes that I have and the range that I have. And every time I end up with a zoom, I try it out. They're nice lenses, but it just, for what I'm doing, for what I'm out there shooting, I'm not getting out of it what I want. But for me, this may be the time when I finally shake hands with zoom lenses and mutually agree that we just both go our separate ways. I'm always on the lookout for something new, some different new lens, exciting. And Canon still has a lot of blank spaces to fill in their RF line. So we'll see what comes along those ways. So thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to my rant about zoom and prime lenses. Again, wonderful lens, wonderful renting service. Just the lens is just not for me. Like I said, Bill and I are going out on one of our epic photo hiking waterfall adventures, and we'll have a lot of stuff to show from that. So be on the lookout for that stuff. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time. Oh, and I gotta say, these boots are comfortable.